Hi there, this is Giuseppe Corcella from Virtual Orchestration, and today I'm going to review the Cello Textures library by Emergence Audio. First of all, I want to thank Emergence Audio for kindly sending us a copy of the library to review. Cello Textures is the last addition to the Emergence Audio family. It follows the violin textures released a few months ago, and of course it's based on the Emergence Audio Infinite Motion engine. It's a library made for Kontakt Player 6.7 or above, and it's NKS compatible, therefore you have to install it via the native access. Its size is 3.33 gigabytes and it usually sells for 99, but at the time of this review it's available for an intro price of $59. As always, I suggest you to check out the videos on the Emergence Audio YouTube channel when Mike Vignola tells you all the secrets about the library and the Infinite Motion engine. On the website you can also find additional information about the library itself, and at the bottom of the page you will find the requirements, the presets list. As you can see, you have a lot of presets and an explanation of the presets folders and of the presets type and the list of the original sampled articulations. Cello Textures is based on the Infinite Motion engine by Emergence Audio. This is, in my opinion, a very powerful engine because you really can get a lot of things out of this, starting from the original samples. Basically, this engine is a two-layer engine. If you click on that, you can see the original acoustic cello articulations they sampled, including a few reversed articulations. And you basically have this two layers engine when you can set two articulations and you can crossfade from the articulation A to the articulation B. As you can see, the engine is basically divided into two parts. On the left side you have all the parameters for the layer A, and on the right side you have all the parameters for the layer B, which are pretty much the same, because you can also link these parameters by clicking on this button and on this button. And as you can see, I can move the knob on both sides by moving just the left one. You have an expression here which is assigned to CC11, you have a cutoff resonance pan, and you have an ADSR here. Here there are the volume for the layer A and the layer B, and also a fine-tuning knob. This is, in my opinion, the core of this engine, which makes this so unique. It's an oscillator, but the peculiarity, in my opinion, is that you have here a master oscillator, but also you have a smaller oscillator under almost every parameter you have in this engine. This is basically the master oscillator, and you can set the depth of the curve or also the rate in hertz of the curve. The master oscillator set the total amount the oscillator can reach in the library, and all the smaller oscillators are subjected to the amount set here. So for example, if I set here the depth to be 57%, when I have this knob, for example, at 100%, it won't be the 100% of the potential of the library, but it will be 100% of 57%, because this is the master oscillator. And so if I turn this down to, let's say, 33%, this will be the 33% of 57%. You can also sync the variations in the oscillator to the tempo in your sequencer, and you can also decide the shape of the oscillator. You can also create random variations by clicking on these buttons, and I will let you see what happens. you saw pretty much how it works. And you can also have a random function here. So if you click on this button, you can randomize all the parameters inside the engine, including the articulations. And this is something I really appreciate in a library like this. You can also, if you want, to deactivate one of the articulations by clicking on this, and as you can see, it will purge the samples from the RAM. On the second page, you have some FX, so you can shape this sound even more, and if you want, also create something completely different from your starting point. You have here a convolution reverb with a lot of impulse responses from very small ambiances to very large ambiances. You have here a phaser with delay, which can also be synced with the tempo in your sequencer. You have distortion with also the small oscillator, saturation, chorus, rotator, and also tape saturation and lo-fi. So you can really create a lot of things thanks to this engine. And now, after this short introduction, let's go ahead with the presets and to listen how this library sounds. So basically the library comes with one main NKI instrument, which is basically a start from scratch instrument where you can build your own preset from the ground, and then you have a folder including the presets divided into four categories: correlated, dimensions, infinite paths, and pulses. Let's go with the correlated first. The correlated basically start with the same articulation on both layers, but the settings are different to give the feeling they were placed into two different places. An important thing to notice on this library is that each note has a long sample on it, and these samples are not just like in any other normal cello library. It's not just the note itself with the articulation the key is meant to play, but you have a long sample where the player performed a lot of variations to give the idea of an ongoing, evolving sound. So let's try now to listen to different articulations alone. You see, each sample is like a word apart. It's like a performance apart, and all the samples are different. This is really interesting to understand how this engine works, and also I find very useful to have here the waveform so you can actually see how each sample works, and then you get the best out of it when you mix one sample with another sample, and you start playing them together. So let's go to the dimensions. The dimensions are just the basic samples. As you can see, also the engine is very simple. You just have an ADSR. You don't have the two layers engine. You have just have the a cutoff, a resonance. You just have a convolution reverb, a distortion, and a delay. You can sync, of course, with the tempo of your sequencer. These library keys are also velocity sensitive, so you can also increase or decrease the volume by changing the pressure of your fingers on the keyboard. Next one is infinite pads. As you can see, you have a lot of more presets, and the reason why is that these are not based on single articulation placed on different spaces and pitch or something, but here you have two different articulations that play at the same time, giving you a more experimental approach. In these last presets especially, you basically don't have the original cello sound anymore. It's something completely different. Last preset type are the pulses, which, as the name suggests, create a kind of pulsing sound. So, what can I say? I think it's a really great library. If you are looking for something, let's say, uncommon to create some textures for sound design, but that also can cover many genres, from horror to thriller to more bright kind of moods, I think you should really consider this library. It's very similar to violin textures. Let's say that cello and violin textures could be one the extension of the other to the bottom and to the top of the string register. So they really can work well together. Also, according to my experience, cello textures and also violin textures can blend well together with other library, both textural and acoustic strings library, especially solo strings, but also with a string ensemble. The engine is not very simple maybe to understand at first, but as soon as you start playing with it, maybe you watch some tutorial, read the manual, you can really understand the potential of this kind of engine. You really can create something that it's not a cello anymore. So you can really cover a lot of things with this library. Also, you can create some textures that can go from a dark mood to a brighter mood. You also have available a wider range of feelings, a wider range of sensations, and also the included effects can really make you shape the sound even more. As I said, one thing I really like is the random function, but also all the possibility to randomize the micro movement inside each or the most part of the parameters. And this is really, in my opinion, the core of this library and the peculiarity of this engine, that you can create a very evolving sound. First of all, starting with the samples that are kind of ongoing samples, and then with everything this engine can offer to you. Then you really have a lot of presets here, so you can suddenly start writing music without maybe thinking a lot before to which sound to create and how. You just can go through the presets and find the ones that best suit your need, and then you can start from them and change almost anything inside the preset itself. Otherwise, you just can go to the main patch and build something from scratch. So even in this, you have a lot of possibilities. It's all for today. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you already tried Cello Textures, let me know what you think about this library in the comments below. If you want to support virtual orchestration, please subscribe to the channel, join our newsletter if you want, click on the notification bell on YouTube so you get notified as soon as we release a new tutorial or a new review. If you enjoyed this video, leave a like on it, and see you on the next review.